September 11th, 2013 at 6 p.m., so we're going to go ahead and get started. Commissioner Yower's not going to be able to be here tonight. Commissioner Rosales?
Here.
Judge Shaw's here. Commissioner Dubnik?
Here.
Commissioner Schindel?
Here.
Please stand, joining us in prayer and take Heavenly Father, we ask for your guidance tonight as we make decisions for the county. We ask that you be with our troops and be with our families and loved ones that are suffering through grief this week. And we ask that you support our troops wherever they are. And if you'll please join us in just a minute of silence, and then we will begin the pledge of allegiance. Your name we pray.
Amen.
Pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 5 on the agenda is the first public hearing on a proposed county ad valorem property tax rate of 0.1870 for $100 of taxable valuation. And the public hearing will begin timed at 6:02. Anybody have any comments that they would like to make? Go ahead. Sue, it's a public hearing. You don't have to sign up. It's different. As long as we keep order, we're fine. You don't have to sign up, Brenda. It's a public hearing.
Okay, I was wondering.
You want an agenda?
This information that I know you all know, but it's kind of nice to look at it again. This evening I would like to suggest and encourage the commissioners and judge to do whatever it takes or take the appropriate steps in order to keep the tax rate the same in 2014 as it was in 2013. So our tax rate in 2012, I believe, was 0.2943. And whatever it takes to keep that tax rate the same and not drop it, the approximately 49% down to 0.149 or 0.18, I think is worth the time and trouble and effort we might all have to go to. There is $9.68 million at stake for this year alone. And this is a cumulative thing. Every year that goes by with the tax rate as low as this, we lose millions and millions of dollars. And we also all realize that a lot of, actually almost 90% of these taxes are paid by the industry and oil companies. So what we need to do is have a reasonable tax rate and take advantage of the opportunities that we have today and get prepared and ready for what I think is in the future. So again, I would hope that whatever is necessary, that you do what you feel is best and what's best for the county to take full advantage of this opportunity of revenue that we have in our county today. And on this chart, what I compared the tax rate and how much would be collected at .149 compared to .2943. And that's an additional 9 million. And I also have the tax rates from 2004 to 2013. And our decreases have been significant every single year. But this would be a record breaker of almost 49% decrease in 1 year. And I just don't think that's sustainable. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Sue.
Thank you all. Thank you. Tracy, thank you, Shelley.
Thank you, thank you.
Does anybody else have anything they'd like to say? I think we can kind of ask Brenda, because you guys asked me what was, if you decided to set the tax rate different or something did happen, what would happen? I talked to Brenda about that. I talked to Debbie Wheeler. I'm going to explain that to y'all right now. It's not a decision-making thing. It's just for information purposes, so y'all know what it is. Because when Sue contacted me concerned about this, we could have put it back on the agenda to start over, but we have to use the paper of local circulation. And if we had used the countywide, we wouldn't have had enough time to be able to start over because the countywide's only published once a week. In DeWitt County, they started over because they're published twice a week with the same intent that Sue had. And so we weren't able to do that. And so, which that leaves us in a predicament when it comes time to set the tax rate. If there is an intent to set it higher, or then the point, I think Brenda's got this memorized.
Yeah, 0.1870.
If there is an intent or a thought to set that, I guess there's, the first option would be, was an injunction, correct? We could have an injunction filed against Commissioner Support, and that would be by a district judge. Or we could face a rollback election, or nothing could happen. Those are your three options. So, if those are things that you want to think about, or run through your head, or things you want to talk to her about, or Debbie Wheeler about, I will provide you the phone numbers. You'll be able to make those phone calls. You can go talk to Brenda. She'll help you. That's just information that I'm giving you tonight in case there's a question of, well, what do we do, or how would we go about that? Or did I explain that properly? Brenda, did I explain that?
Well, the Commissioners Court did vote to propose the rollback rate. So that is what we have to propose, that or lower, because we don't have time, like you said, to go through everything again. So, because if we would have proposed a higher rate, more people might have come and said, said something, or had, wanted to say something. That's how it's been explained to me.
I was on the same phone call with Debbie and the judge, and she explained those options, but it sounded like when the proposed motion was made to possibly, we would set that.
That motion was made and all voted in favor.
And then after that's when the concerns started coming up, and we tried to see if we could start over, and just because of our publication dates, we could. Unless we use the Victoria Advocate or another paper that is a paper of local circulation, but we've never used them before, so it might be something I'd have to put on a future agenda to see if somebody would want to use it in case something like this happened up again, or we needed a day accounting. So that's something that we have to discuss in the future, but our hands were tied. I think we missed it by like 2 days or something. So
Yeah, we have to realize too, although the tax rate did fall, our property valuations are double. We're at 6.6 billion as opposed to 3.3, I believe, last year. So we're collecting less money, but on a lower rate, but on a much bigger base. So I want to be sure people understand that.
Can I ask a question? You mentioned that rate is based on oil and gas production and industry, correct? So the normal homeowner, landowner is not going to be, they're going to stay at this .1870. I mean, everybody.
Everybody will be, yes, sir, but the majority of the value is oil and gas.
Can you give a proposed difference between what the value of the loss is like Sue did, on the 9.68 million at the rate that you're looking at with the higher values. Because I think
We're going to
Sue's
raise-
using the
we're gonna
lower values.
raise-
No, I use the exact same value.
Yeah.
It's 9 million. We're selecting, losing 9 million a year.
We're losing that by not going to a higher tax rate.
That's how
Yes.
much is at risk, and it's based on the 6.6 billion. So we would collect 19 million based on a .1490. And 19 million is just about what we collected in 2012.
We're going to bring in, at 1.1870, excuse me, we'll bring in 2.5 million more than we did last year.
2.5 more than last year.
Yes, ma'am.
And what is our budget?
And
How
what,
much-
what Sue provided on this was utilizing the .149,
Yeah,
That's-
where we're using the rollback rate of .187.
but it's a very small difference, and I can redo this. But I guess my question would be, I mean, is it possible? I mean, why would we want to go down that low if we can collect more? And has our budget, we say we're increasing the collection by 2 million, how much is our budget increasing? How much is our budget increasing?
The budget's increasing more than that amount of 2 point whatever, but
And that,
the budget's not adopted yet, it is still in the proposed state.
well, to me, and that's when I saw it in the paper, that we were already 2 million over what was being collected. I'm thinking, why are we going to such a low rate when our budget is already higher than what we're going to be collecting? And I would only suggest that if we're in that position this year, it's going to be worse next year. And it's going to be harder and harder and harder to get back. And we know our sales taxes are increasing, but are they going to continue to increase at this rate? Are we leveling off a little bit?
And so you also have to understand that your tax rate is, your effective rate and your rollback rate are going to calculate, as your values go down, your rates are going to go up.
I know.
If you've got I can't think of the word, a stable property value, you're only going to go up 8%. If all
As
is
much
equal.
as you can go up. But I think where we are now is, I don't know if 2% is even an 8% increase. We're just not, our budget is going up more than our revenue that we're bringing in. That is not a good situation. You wouldn't want to do that at your home or at a business. You want to bring in more money, or at least as much as you're spending. And right now, you have a budget that's higher than your anticipated revenue for 2013, the way I see it.
But we run out of time, right?
Yes.
I said, we talked to Debbie the other day, is if we do something different than what we proposed, I just want everybody to know what the options are, so they will hear the same thing I've heard.
But if you're risking an injunction, how serious is that? What's the worst that can happen? You have to go to court and justify why.
No tax statements are set out, no tax revenue is brought in.
That can be managed. I mean, it's just a situation that can be addressed. I don't think we should have a fear of an injunction keep us from setting a tax rate to cover our budget requirements for 2013. Or for 2014.
I was gonna observe, I mean, that's actually the worst that can happen.
We can do the injunction side of it, it's not that, it's difficult, but it's something we can deal with.
You realize no tax statements would go
But
out?
I realize all of that, that's not an issue for me. The issue is whether or not we legally can deal with it. If we can legally deal with it, I know your tax statement's not gonna go out, and all of that, but if we're in a mess, as Sue is saying, we're in a mess right now, and we're upside down on the budget, we got to do something.
Need to cut the budget.
Well, that's the only thing that's left, is either cut the budget or
Raise the tax
increase revenue,
rate,
one of the two.
it's still an option.
But I'll do either one
Will
y'all
you
want
finish
me to
answering
do.
Jamie's question, because I missed your answer.
Do what?
I missed your answer to Jamie's question.
We'll just have to fight the injunction if you have to. If you don't vote on it,
How many times frame is that?
well,
You do an injunction, are you?
we're out of time right now.
We're out of time.
We're out of time, Brenda's break.
What did financial advisor say, you done talk with him yesterday, when we talked about the bond, done have a conversation, saying about the tax rate?
The only thing he's ever, I mean, yesterday we told him what it was gonna be, but the only thing that Bob's ever said about the tax rate, the stable tax rates between like 0.35 and 0.5, but he's always said that in here in court. We said it in an open forum, never, we don't call and discuss the tax rate, just
But that was
individually.
above the rollback rate, so, wasn't it?
Bob's recommendation yesterday when we were talking to the rating agency of Standard & Poor's was to go with the rollback rate because it is the higher of the effective or the rollback. He does not encourage risking a rollback election.
I don't think he, I did not hear that. I mean, he did not.
I don't know who's.
What we were doing on yesterday was the S&P thing, the Standards and Poor's for the bonds. I don't think we ever straight out asked Bob for a recommendation. He never said, I recommend any rate or anything else. He said, don't take the, I didn't hear that. I mean, he's always preached to us between the 0.35 and the 0.5.
That was at last year's values, at our 3 billion, but our values have doubled.
But did the commissioner court vote on this issue that we're talking about today?
They voted to use it as a proposed rate to calculate the anticipated revenues for a budget on October 12th.
But
I mean,
my
August.
question is this, if we don't have a budget, are we stuck with this tax rate?
Well, we do have a proposed budget. It just hadn't been adopted yet.
You told me it's upside down. We don't got one if it's upside down.
Well, that's why it's proposed, and they need to address the applicable cuts to make it balance.
Well, it sounds like the tax rate is proposed also, and not from, it's a proposed tax rate, and not a past firm tax rate. So if it's still proposed, then it doesn't seem like it's absolutely too late to do something.
Well, it appears that the county expenses, adding 13 people to the sheriff's office with all the added traffic and people and issues in the city, it's taking more people, it's taking more resources than we've ever used before. So why are we not accommodating for that? Well, it seems you have, because that's why you're so far over on your budget for what your income is. Why are we not trying to meet that instead of just accepting the additional costs and overruns?
Well, that's part of truth in taxation, sorry, Brenda, but I'm...
That's okay, go ahead, please.
To keep it where the government can't just gouge the taxpayers and set an arbitrary tax rate, that's why you have an effective tax rate and a rollback tax rate, and then you have the 8% that you are available to increase up to the rollback rate from the effective rate. But the maximum tax rate is 80 cents. We have been there before in the past. Granted, we're in a much different position now, but you can't go above the rollback rate without risking an injunction in district court or a rollback petition being filed for a rollback election. And if that passes, and we've already issued statements and had receipts come in, then all those monies have to be refunded back to the
And it
taxpayers.
goes back to rollback rate.
And a really important, I think, aspect of the truth in taxation is that was really done to keep counties from increasing more than 8%, increasing year after year after year. You know, people don't want their taxes to go up, go up, go up. And I really believe that it was never their intent to keep it from going down, down, down. Like, is the taxpayer going to complain about well, instead of a 49% decrease. You know, I just don't think that was the part or the reason for truth in taxation. It was really to keep us from going higher and higher and higher, not to just push us down to the very basement of the tax rate. If the same rules still apply, you're right. But I think, I just can't see our county citizens being angry enough or interested enough to file for a rollback election. I don't see that when you're, oh, you dropped, you know, we didn't drop 49%, we dropped 31% last year. I don't see how a reasonable person could ask for, or even want a rollback election when we have decreased so drastically every single year.
Well, those taxpayers that only have their personal homestead, et cetera, to be taxed on wouldn't complain about a higher tax rate, but those that are in that nice little green 74% that have mineral interests, you might have some rumblings from them.
Who we are?
Exactly.
Let them rumble, I'll rumble. But it's, I mean, we've done good by them to come down all of these percentages every single year. You know, it's not like we kept it at 0.50. We've reduced those taxes significantly. And I don't know what the city's doing or the school boards, but I doubt that they have all decreased as much as they could have, because it just seems like it's the natural thing to do, to want to try to keep a tax rate the same. We're not increasing it. That's when people get angry, is when you increase the tax rate.
Well, you have to realize too, we aren't dropping it as low as we could because the court moved to use the rollback rate of 0.187.
There's not that much difference in 0.187 and 0.14. I'll do a new sheet on this because I thought we were taking the lowest. I thought we were doing the point. Well, I wasn't really sure. That's
No,
not
the rollback.
But I can change that 0.1490 on my handout to 0.18. I'm sorry, we'll still be have the lowest tax rate in the state of Texas.
We've also got great valuations, but what I started to say is just because the tax rate is going down doesn't mean that every taxpayer, even if they're only homeowners, are going to see a decrease in their taxes. Their valuations may have gone up. They may have been reappraised this year. And so therefore, and then your taxes will go up.
Mine's going up. My land was worth $5 when it started, $500, it's $3,700 now. Coming up my house, it was worth $200,000, it's worth $500,000 now.
That's good.
See, that's
Thank you.
another question I have is, well, in the calculation of the tax rate, what's considered new property?
Improvements,
Because it should be on those new Orwells.
no,
It should be.
well, it's not.
Well, you'd have to go to the legislature.
And I'll lobby for that next time, end of conversation. But
Yeah,
those,
that would be awesome.
those new oil wells, that's new property. And for the oil companies to get the legislation through to count that as current,
It was proposed this year in the legislature, but nothing was done.
and last year, we were able to count it as new. We did.
Yeah.
You're not doing anything today.
I don't know. Don't mess with that stuff. I know we can cut it by 2.5 minutes. 2 minutes.
What?
I do that a lot these days.
Do you answer yourself?
Yeah, sometimes I do.
That's dangerous.
That's good, look out.
Give it a few more years.
Yeah, no, can't fix stupid. Yeah.
Anybody got anything else?
No.
The tax rate, if you look at, consideration and action to set the, does anybody else have anything they want to say? Remember, when it comes time to set the tax rate, that's a four-person vote. Number 6 is consideration and action to set the date for the adoption of the tax rate for fiscal year 2014 as September 30th, 2013 at 9 a.m. at the regular scheduled meeting of the county board. That doesn't mean we're going to do it at 9 a.m., it's the 9 a.m. meeting.
On what day?
September 30th,
We're not gonna look at the budget.
the 23rd.
We're gonna do one more hearing.
We'll do a public hearing and then we can do whatever we need to do.
16th, we do another hearing. Next month.
Let's look over here.
That is correct.
I have got so many.
When is,
Next month.
when is the next one? Sunday?
I think it's next month.
Yeah.
Monday at
Thursday.
6.
Monday at 6.
What's going to be the 16th?
That's just another
The second.
public hearing on the tax rate.
Public hearing.
That's right.
Then the 23rd.
Yes.
So the 23rd is the public hearing on the proposed budget. When will the court get together to take care of any adjustments to the budget?
After we hear the proposed hearing.
And so therefore...
I haven't said it, Luana. I haven't done it.
Well, that was going to be my question, when are you going to set it? Because let me finish. Any changes have to be implemented by me before September 30th when we adopt it. And if we have a public hearing on the 23rd and haven't done anything before that, you're probably looking at Tuesday or Wednesday before you'll have a court meeting to make adjustments, which then makes me work through the weekend again to get it ready for Monday.
Special workshops.
I know the public hearing's on the 23rd. I'll have to look at my calendar for the rest of it. I mean, I can't sit out here and say something I don't have in front of me and I don't have it ready, but I can look at it.
We need to get this budget thing set
It should have been done a long time
as
ago.
soon as we can before the deadline. I mean, so we got, I agree with the one, I wouldn't want to do
It's got to
whenever.
post it 72 hours, right?
Well, but it should have been done a long time ago. As many budget workshops as we have, this thing should have never drug out this long. The next time on this agenda is consider to act the date for the adoption of the tax rate for the fiscal year 2014 as September 30th, 2013 at 9 a.m. at the regular scheduled meeting. That's where we need to adopt it.
Well, we need to have everything ready.
I just need a motion. I need a motion for the action.
Well, I'm making a motion. You gotta make a motion?
Yes.
Hold on, I got a question.
Okay.
Okay, then,
We're going to set the tax rate at the September 30th meeting because we have to sell our bonds prior to.
okay, I understand that, that's going to set the tax rate. When we going to set the budget?
You have to set
We
the
have a
budget
public
before you
hearing.
set the tax
That's
rate
right.
to be able to adopt the tax
So
rate.
we're going to set
to
the budget on the 23rd?
No, you're going to set the budget on the 30th before you set the tax rate, and then you'll
Yes.
ratify the tax rate.
Yes.
The 23rd is for public input on the proposed budget. Then court's going to have to make whatever changes sometime, and then Luana will have to plug them all in before 9 a.m. on September 30th during the regular scheduled Commissioners Court meeting.
So we need to have some meetings.
But you're anticipating a lot of changes then.
Well, I kind of
I mean, but we have
anticipate a
to
balanced budget.
wait for the public hearing. This should have been all done together. But the budget wasn't done until 8:30, at
I think that's what
3:30.
I'm asking.
Well, but this is what I'm saying. It's going to be done. That's what's going to be adopted this day. No matter what day we set the meeting, that's not going to change the action of this item.
We don't have a budget to adopt it, or change the action of
Then we
that.
fall back to Commissioner's budget. The next item on this agenda is to set the date for the adoption of the fiscal year 2014 tax rate.
That's the only choice we have is September.
That's it, because that's the date we have it set for, because we have to sell our, if we sell those other, I'm not gonna go into it, that's what this is right here on the thing, so. They don't
You have
have
to sell the bonds first before you can set the tax rate, because we can't set a tax rate that includes interest and something.
You got the money?
I'll make a motion to do item number 6 is listed.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
The next item on the agenda is to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Sue, the next public hearing is up here.
All in favor, say aye.
Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Here's,
4-0. Right there.